Welcome back to the archives. Digging through my grandfather's footlocker, I found a manila envelope labeled Biskra, 1943. Inside, there was this photograph. At first glance, it looks like a mistake, like a double exposure or bad Photoshop. Look at this. The entire rear section of the fuselage is sliced open. It looks like a giant knife cut right through the metal skin. The tail gunner's compartment is drooping. The horizontal stabilizers are twisted. By all laws of physics, this pile of metal should be spinning. It should be a fireball, but it's not. It's flying. My grandfather, Bill, wrote a note on the back of the photo. It says, "The All-American. February 1st, 1943. Still don't know how the hell they made it back. This isn't a ghost story. This is a story of cold, hard steel and warm, beating hearts." A mid-air collision, it left a bomber held together by inches of twisted aluminum, a crew who chose to stay with their ship and friends. Today on G.I. Stories, we analyze the most miraculous survival story of the air war. How the All-American cheated death. Chapter 1. The Flying Fortress Myth. To understand this miracle, we talk about the machine, the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. My grandfather was a mechanic. His journals are full of airframe sketches. He loved the B-17, calling it the toughest bird in the sky. The B-17 wasn't built like modern planes. It used to for Sainal-clad, aluminum, and a semi-monocoque design. This means the skin carries part of the load, supported by internal ribs and stringers. It was designed to take punishment. It was designed to fly with two engines out, or with holes in the wings the size of watermelons. But even Boeing didn't design it for what happened over Tunisia. The fuselage is held together by four main beams. Think of them as the spine of the aircraft. If you cut the spine, the body goes limp. On February 1st, 1943, the All-American tested those limits. Chapter 2. The North African Theater. The setting is North Africa, the 97th Bomb Group. Pilot Ken Bragg led the All-American. Their mission, bomb German-controlled seaports in Tunis, crucial for cutting Rommel's Africa Corps supply. The All-American took off from Biskra, Algeria. A classic formation flight, dozens of bombers climbing into the sun. But the Luftwaffe was waiting. Germans in North Africa flew the Messerschmitt Bf 109, fast, deadly, flown by veterans. As bombers approached, flak started, black puffs of smoke. Then came the fighters. The All-American dropped its bombs successfully. They turned for home. That's when the nightmare started. Two German fighters singled out the lead bomber. They came in high, diving out of the sun. The first German fighter attacked, but was hit by machine gun fire and went into a spin. The second German fighter, piloted by ace Erich Pacha, was right behind him. Pacha was committed to a head-on attack. Imagine sitting in that cockpit. You see a plane coming straight at you at 600 miles per hour. The nose gunner opened fire. He hit the German plane. Pacha, the German pilot, was likely killed instantly. His plane rolled over, out of control. But it didn't dive away. It became a dead-weight missile, hurtling straight toward the B-7. Chapter 3. The Collision. Ken Bragg pulled up hard, trying to dodge. It was too late. The German fighter slammed into the B-17. The impact was catastrophic. The Messerschmitt's wing sliced through the B-17 like a guillotine. Crunch. The entire bomber shuddered. The crew was thrown around like dolls. For a second, Bragg thought they had exploded. The German plane disintegrated. Pieces showered down over Tunisia. But the B-17 was still flying. Bragg struggled with the controls. The plane was yawing violently. He shouted over the intercom, "Check in, sound off." The nose gunner replied. The waist gunners replied. But from the tail, silence. The tail gunner, Sam Sarpoulos, didn't answer. One of the waist gunners, SGT, Michael Zuck, looked back. His face went pale. Where the fuselage used to be, there was a gaping hole. He could see the sky through the roof. He could see the ground through the floor. The entire tail section was swaying. It looked impossible. The left side of the fuselage was completely gone, cut clean through. The right side, held by a few strips, just one of the four main longerons. The tail was wagging like a dog's tail, and inside that wagging tail was Sam Sarpoulos. Visualize this. You are in a metal tube, 20,000 feet up. The tube is cut 80% through. The back twists with the wind. If it twists too much, the metal snaps, the tail falls off, and the plane dives. Everyone dies. The logical thing to do is jump, but they didn't jump. Why? Because they were stubborn? Crazy. No, because they were brothers. If you believe loyalty is stronger than fear, hit the like button. Let's see how they kept this broken bird in the air. Chapter 4. The Decision. Ken Bragg realized the plane was still flying, but barely. Any sudden movement would snap the tail. He had to fly with the touch of a surgeon. The waist gunners grabbed parachute cord. They literally tried to tie the plane together. It was desperate, like trying to fix a broken bridge with shoelaces. Then, they saw movement in the tail. Sam Sarpoulos was alive. He was crawling out of his turret. He had to cross the damaged section to get to the main cabin. Imagine crawling across a floor that is bucking and twisting, with a 20,000-foot drop visible through the cracks. His friends reached out. They grabbed his harness, they pulled him across the gap. Once Sam was safe, Bragg ordered parachutes. Prepare to bail out. But the crew hesitated. They looked at Bragg, they looked at the plane. The navigator calculated 90 minutes to base over enemy territory. If they jumped, they'd be captured. Or worse, the sudden shift in weight might break the tail. The crew made a silent pact. We stay as long as the engines turn. We stay. Chapter 5, The Formation. This is the part that gets me emotional every time I read it. The All-American was lagging behind. It was slow. A sitting duck for any German fighters. Usually, the formation has to keep moving. You don't slow down for stragglers. The herd survives. The weak are left behind. But the other bombers in the 97th Bomb Group saw the damage. They saw the giant hole. They realized their friends were fighting for their lives. Instead of leaving them, the formation slowed down. They surrounded the All-American. They formed a protective steel cage around the wounded bird. They dared the Luftwaffe to come back. Even the fighter escorts came in close. One pilot radioed Bragg. "You're wagging your tail, buddy. Keep it steady." Bragg replied, "I'm trying, but the stick feels like it's set in concrete." For 90 minutes, Bragg wrestled the controls. His arms were cramping. He was sweating despite the freezing cold. He used the engines to steer because the rudder was useless. He nursed the plane over the mountains, back towards the desert. Chapter 6, The Landing. Finally, they saw the base, Biskra, but now, they faced the final hurdle, the landing. A B-17 is a tail dragger. It has two main wheels in the front and a small wheel in the tail. When you land, the tail eventually has to touch the ground. If the tail wheel touched with the weight of the fuselage, the tail would snap off. Bragg radioed the tower, requesting emergency landing. No tail wheel. He had to perform a two-point landing. He had to keep the nose up, touch the main wheels down, and keep the tail flying in the air as long as possible. The ground crew watched in silence. They saw the jagged hole, they gasped. The All-American glided over the fence. Bragg cut the power. Screech, the main tires smoked as they hit the dirt. Bragg fought the yoke forward, keeping the tail up. The plane slowed down. 80 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour. Gravity took over. The tail began to drop. The crew braced for the snap. The tail wheel touched the dirt. The metal groaned. The fuselage twisted, but it held. The plane came to a stop. An ambulance raced up. Bragg shut down the engines. The crew opened the hatch and stepped out. They were shaking. They were deaf, but they were alive. Chapter 7, The Aftermath. That afternoon, the base photographer took the picture I found in the footlocker. It became famous. Boeing used it in advertisements with the slogan, "Built to come home." It was the ultimate proof of American engineering superiority. Surprisingly, the All-American was repaired. They replaced the tail section with parts from another damaged bomber. She flew again. She survived the war, but she was eventually scrapped in 1945. A sad end for a hero. My grandfather wrote in his diary that seeing that plane land changed him. He wrote, "I stopped complaining about the food. I stopped complaining about the heat, because I saw what happens when men refuse to give up." Conclusion. The term All-American usually refers to a star athlete, the best of the best, but for me, it refers to this bucket of bolts. It refers to a machine that took a death blow and kept flying, and it refers to a crew who realized that the only way to survive was to stick together. What would you have done? Would you have bailed out over Tunisia, or would you have trusted the pilot? Let me know in the comments. This photo is just one of many secrets in this trunk. Every scratch on this metal tells a story. I'm Richard. I'll see you next time we open the archives. Out.